For me, it's really just continuing to be really disciplined with costs, continuing to execute for our brand partners and really drive value for shareholders, hit profitability in the second half of the year, hopefully get that re-rating as the markets start to turn and really drive value for shareholders.
Hello and welcome from the Nasdaq MarketSite. I'm Jarrett Banks, editor at IPO Edge. Joining me is a repeat guest to the program, Justin Kenna, the CEO of GameSquare Holdings. Justin, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Let's get right into it. Now, you just reported Q1 earnings that showed significant improvement in profitability. What can you say about that? Yeah,
we're really pleased. From a pro forma perspective, year on year, Q1, it was around $4.5 million improvement on adjusted EBITDA. We've made no secret that we're on a ruthless pursuit of profitability, and that sequential improvement is really pleasing. And it was pleasing because instead of coming from huge revenue growth, it really came from a lot of the discipline we've been talking about in terms of improving cost, reduction in OPEX, which is going to continue, and real improvement in margins. So we're set up really well to really hit profitability here in the back half of the year.
All right. Now, you also announced the divestiture of FaZe Media. How does that contribute to GameSquare going forward?
Yeah, look, we did a transaction with FaZe Clan, what was it, nearly a bit over 12 months ago, 15 months ago. And really, there was two main assets, FaZe Esports and FaZe Media. We actually sold Complexity and replaced Complexity with FaZe Esports, which really sort of apples for apples asset, with FaZe Esports having a larger reach and more audience. The FaZe Media side of it was really, it was an add-on, it was an asset that we helped clean up, but really the creators and the founders who built that asset, we helped them really take that asset back. It really is a private company. We think they're going to be hugely successful, but for us in the public company environment, our focus was on FaZe Esports. Gives us real reach with audience. FaZe Esports is profitable, it's growing. FaZe Media is still in a bit of a rebuild, it's burning a bit of cash. So when we talk about sort of those Q1 numbers, I think our adjusted EBITDA was a little over $3 million loss for the quarter, as we talked about with seasonality. That's improving. We expect to get to profitability in the back half of the year. But for example, FaZe Media burnt $2.5 million for the quarter, so it really is going to improve our burn. It really is going to improve our margins. So we think they'll be hugely successful. We're excited for the creators at FaZe Media, but from a GameSquare perspective, this improves margin, it improves burn, and really sets us up for a big back half of the year.
All right, now you still own 100% of FaZe Esports. What are the opportunities ahead for that?
Yeah, there's a lot. We've just moved FaZe Esports into our facility in Frisco, Texas, which is the headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys. And we're really sort of mirroring, our FaZe Esports assets around the Cowboys, a real performance, best-in-class asset. Our facilities there are incredible, from the training rooms to the podcast studio. There's an area where our players can watch tape and see what they did right and wrong, just like you would across the road in the football facility. So we're in the process of closing a naming rights deal for that facility, which will be huge for FaZe Esports. We've got a couple of really big tournaments coming up, which is very exciting. IEM Dallas, we've got a major in Austin, and we also have the Esports World Cup, which is the biggest esports tournament in the world from a prize money perspective. It's around $60 million of prize money, 150 teams from all around the world competing. We actually came 6th last year and brought home $2.2 million in prize money. So really bullish on that. But yeah, we've got a lot of deals in the pipeline and very excited about the growth of the esports business.
Okay, now you've also got the media, the agency, and the technology assets. What can you tell us about these business units?
Yeah, for sure. I think we're getting a lot more really hyper-focused on what's working. And I think our technology business is continuing to grow. We had a major deal that we announced in Q1 with Capcom, which was our largest deal to date. We've actually just beat that with a tier 1 publisher that we'll be announcing soon. We're very excited about. That'll be in Q2. We have, a lot of big catalysts in the technology business, continuing to grow, really healthy margins. So very happy there. Our agency business just announced a really exciting deal with Paramount, just around the corner from here. I'm actually catching up with the Paramount guys, later this week, and we just signed a deal with SpongeBob, where we're actually owning that IP with Paramount and creating games for SpongeBob within Fortnite and Roblox. So that's very exciting. Our studio business is going from strength to strength. So what we're really seeing as the business matures is the cross-selling opportunities from our technology business into the media business, into the agency business. They're really working hand in hand, and our enterprise sales team is able to go to market as GameSquare rather than as some of the parts. It's really resonating and working, and we're expecting, as I said, a big second half of the year, a lot of margin expansion, and an ability to scale in 2026 and beyond.
Okay, speaking of 2026, what can you tell us about Gamergy Dallas 2026?
Yeah, very exciting. We've announced a deal with GG Tech, a strategic partnership. Gamergy is the biggest esports gaming festival in the world. Hasn't actually hit the US as yet, and that's where we come in. So very excited around our strategic partnership there with GG Tech. There's been over 20 worldwide in El Salvador, Panama, Mexico, Spain, and they've done an incredible job. So we're extremely excited to bring the biggest esports festival in the world to Dallas, Texas, early next year. So we're in phase one at the moment, ideation and really putting together our commercial materials. That should be coming to New York early July, I believe, and really kicking off those commercial activities, getting brands and publishers involved. And yeah, we're really excited about that one. That'll be early next year. So certainly one to look out for.
Now, I know you've been working hard on building an end-to-end platform. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so like we talked about before, I think we have competitors within our three streams. You touched on the technology business, our agency media business, and then our owned and operated IP. But really, from an end-to-end standpoint, we don't, right? And so I really believe that that's starting to resonate with big brands like Paramount. Is a good example where we've taken that relationship from really transactional one-off to really now working with Paramount hand in hand across all three areas of our business. Very similar with Epic Games, Jack in the Box, and it's continuing to grow. So I really think our end-to-end solution and the fact that we're best in class and that brands and publishers can come and work with GameSquare instead of being passed off to multiple vendors and clients and so forth, it's really resonating. So we're really pleased. As I said, we've gone from really living and dying by RFP victories to now being a bit more selective on who we work with. We're building long-term agency of record, really strategic relationships that are going to put us in great stead as we look to hit profitability, expand margin, and scale.
All right, very exciting. Last question, what are you most excited about for the rest of the year?
Yeah, there's a lot. The owned and operated IP business is something that really excites me. Obviously, we touched on Gamergy, bringing that to life in Dallas. There's a lot of work going on that'll be live next year, but there's a lot of milestones this year to look out for that we're really excited about. Very excited about the Esports World Cup that I talked about. We'll likely be going over to the Middle East for that, with a number of sort of GameSquare employees and really representing the company over there. There's a lot of opportunity within the Middle East, so that's really interesting and exciting. Our collegiate esports program that we're starting to launch, making really great traction there, and that's something else to look out for this year. But yeah, there's a number of big catalysts, and for me, it's really just continuing to be really disciplined with cost, continuing to execute for our brand partners, and really drive value for shareholders, hit profitability in the second half of the year, hopefully get that re-rating as the markets start to turn, and really drive value for shareholders.
Okay, we'll leave it there. This has been Justin Kenna, the CEO of GameSquare Holdings. I'm Jarrett Banks, signing off from the Nasdaq MarketSite.